Just a reminder, if you're listening on YouTube, that we're also on Spotify and Anchor now, so you can also listen to it whilst hibernating your phone. If you're in a car journey, or if you're on a long walk, you're cleaning around the house, or you're using Alexa or something like that, you can listen to us now in the comfort knowing that you're not going to have to keep your phone open. Obviously, YouTube is fantastic, and it's where we originated from, so I really encourage you to listen and watch as well the audio and video from the podcast, as obviously there's some hand gestures, some photos and stuff like that, but definitely knowing that you can listen elsewhere as well is really, really important. So please do head down into the link in the description and check us out there on with the episode.
When I was younger, I always aimed to break a world record. Maybe that's why I still carry on in the same way, because I still haven't hit that goal. I guess I just set targets quite high, so then I'm never satisfied. I think you need to enjoy training as much as you can, because I think that is the secret to success, is enjoyment. And I think if you can enjoy getting up at 5 a.m. or as much as your ability you can, that's definitely the way to getting the success you want. That's what I believe.
Ladies and gentlemen, just before we get into this episode of the Fitzness Podcast, just a quick word on our sponsors for today's episode, Rock Supplements. Now, Rock Supplements have been around for a little bit now, and I've been very, very impressed with the stuff that they're doing in Gibraltar, delivering supplements to people who maybe want specific companies. So definitely, if you're maybe looking at the likes of Redcorn or Ghost Supplements, definitely go and check them out in the description box below if you are based in Gibraltar, and use the code FITZ10 for not only 10% off your order, but some support as well for the podcast and to help us grow and get better guests on the podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Fitzness Podcast. I have the honour today of being joined by a YouTuber who occasionally has a dip in the pool, Daniel Wiffen. So, Daniel, thanks so much for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this.
No worries. So obviously that was a joke, ladies and gents, as you can probably guess from the title. Dan is predominantly a swimmer, obviously Tokyo Olympian for Team Ireland, Commonwealth Games silver medalist as well, which we'll get into a lot during the pod, and European record holder, 800 meter freestyle, not bad either, and then obviously 7 times Irish record holder as well, which is ridiculous. And that's a very brief list, I'm sure. So, Dan, mate, before we get into anything specific, okay, I'm an absolute child, mate. I didn't actually write this one down for you, but it's a little bit of an introduction question, or like a little icebreaker question. Now, obviously, I'll leave the link in the description to the Wiffen Twins YouTube channel. It's awesome. I recommend you check it out. But it's more about cooking that I've seen for a lot of it. So, mate, if it's one dish which is your go-to or like your favourite to make, what is it? Because I've seen risotto, I've seen like Spanish omelettes being made. God, mate, Gordon Ramsay in the pool, mate. What is you and your brother's go-to, or just yours as well?
Well, I love a Spanish omelette. I think it's my favourite. I think everybody knows that by now. It's in every vlog.
Wait, but I come from Gibraltar as well, so it's actually quite a common thing to have. We call it like a torta patata, it's called, where it's got like potatoes in it as well, but like with chips, normally you have like finish your fish and chips, and you just use the chips as leftover. But as an athlete, mate, obviously no fish and chip, not a lot of fish and chips being consumed, I can imagine. But on to a bit more of the serious stuff. Wait, we'll leave the floor to you now. Could you tell us a bit about your story? As you came up, then obviously move into Loughborough, and then obviously your journey to Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games last year as well, mate. The floor is yours.
Yeah, sure. So obviously I grew up in Northern Ireland. That's where I lived my whole life until I came to Loughborough. I trained in a small club when I was younger, and then I moved up to a different club to go more competitive swimming. I'd say I probably broke out when and also decided when I wanted to pursue swimming when I was 16. I made European Youth Olympics, but I didn't go because I'm actually born in Leeds, so I didn't apply for my Irish passport in time, and it came 2 weeks after the competition. Oh, no. So I missed out on that, but I don't really mind. And then I went through all the World Junior competitions and European Juniors. I was pretty decent junior swimmer. I wasn't the best. I came 18th. And then I basically moved to Loughborough then in September 2020, and then I basically just progressed throughout my time in Loughborough. Every year I dropped maybe about a minute in my personal best my first year to make the Olympics. Then obviously went to the Tokyo Olympics, first time going to Japan, first time flying business class, which was definitely the best part, for like 11 hours.
So the actual swimming part, just like the business class, was like the highlight of the trip.
Yeah, definitely up there. And then we got to the village. Obviously, if you haven't seen what Olympic Village looks like before, basically it's massive high-rise apartments with loads of different countries' flags in it. And that was pretty cool. I got to like stay in a flat with 6 other guys who also swim, who I've also like grown up with. So that was kind of cool. And then to get more to the swimming side, I did pretty decent. I'd say I've had a pretty good success rate of personal best in international competitions anyway. So I kept it up at the Olympics with 2 PBs, and I won my heat and came 14th, I think, in the 800. So pretty decent start for me. It was also my first ever big senior international. Like, I didn't go to any world champs or Europeans before that. So kind of weird to start on that, but
got like straight up there, just chucked it at the deep end straight away.
Yeah. And then after that, next year was Commonwealth Games and World Champs again. I'm World Champs in short course meters, which is 25-meter pool, and then long course meter, which is 50-meter pool. I made a final on both of them, which I'm the first Irishman ever to do. And then I won a Commonwealth Games silver medal then in the summer in Birmingham, which was great because I had all my Loughborough teammates and family in the crowd, so I got to see them all. And ever since then, and then I broke a European record in December. So really been on the up at the moment, but hopefully we can carry it on.
Mate, that's unbelievable background, mate. To the detail. Absolutely loved it, mate. I was a bit surprised, mate, you didn't tell me how many strokes you had done in that time. And a little bit of like sort of, what do you call it? A little bit of surveying there, telling us about the Olympic Village as well, with your dream of going into real estate. Nah, mate, it was awesome, mate. That's an awesome point. So, mate, a couple of points I wanted to get onto there because I like this section because it's quite open, and I was actually going to leave this to last, but seeing as we're both in Loughborough, I think it's awesome to start us off because we've had quite a few Loughborough students on, like Ellie Thurlkill, who plays professional cricket now. Lauren Cox is a fellow Loughborough swimmer as well. Why Loughborough for you? Was it, and this is a question I actually asked Lauren as well, was it the swimming and then also being able to do education, or was it the education and swimming, or a little bit of both?
Well, I'd start off with, I like to say that I actually never had Loughborough as down as probably first choice. I was going to go NCAAs, but then I decided that, I didn't decide. My parents kind of advised me that that's not the way you want to go, because it's too far away. If something happens, you're pretty stuffed. And then, so then my twin always wanted to come to Loughborough. So I was just like, oh, I will go with him. And then my coach was best friends with my coach now, Andy Manley. So then we got to know him more, and then I just did a trial, and I was pretty happy. By the way, I just want to mention that when I came to Loughborough, I didn't know anybody as well, coming from Ireland, and also I didn't know how good the group was, really. So I kind of just went in blindly into it, and it just kind of worked out. So it's really cool.
Funny how things work out, mate, when you're thrown in literally, again, pardon the pun, the deep end, proper. But no, mate, I think it's quite interesting because I think Loughborough's looked at, and I'm actually kind of surprised because a lot of people have said that they actually come here, and they're actually a little bit surprised as to sort of the actual, how they progress in terms of maybe when they get here as a sport. Like Ellie mentioned how she never had any dreams of playing professional cricket and then ended up playing professional cricket because of Loughborough, and then Lauren, similar thing, going to the Commonwealth Games as well and actually winning 2 bronzes as well. Yeah. So why was it uni as well? Because there's a lot of swimmers who obviously come here and go, right, like James Guy, Adam P.E., James Willoughby, guys like that, and they kind of just swim here. So was it a case of still having a balance between being able to swim and having a bit of a backup plan, God forbid, touch wood, nothing happens, no serious injuries, but is it kind of a backup plan in a certain way?
I actually didn't answer your question from the start about saying I actually probably came here more for swimming than university. But I think university, I mean, I was always going to have to do a degree either way, because to swim at Loughborough you need to have a degree from Loughborough. It's like a rule. So I was going to do a degree anyway, and also my parents, they enforced the backup plan, as you said, to have that degree in the back. But yeah, I do think it's actually quite an attractive point to have with Loughborough, that you can swim with world class athletes and then you can study on the side and get a degree out of it. I do think it's definitely appealing, especially to a lot of the older swimmers, because we get people coming in to do masters who are already world champion, and they just come to do a masters because they want to further educate themselves while still being on top.
That's awesome. And what is it like being surrounded by people like that? Because I suppose it kind of just drives you to sort of just better yourself every day. I saw a little interview, I think it was from your coach, and he says how sort of driven you are, and I love that. And are you sort of motivated by people that are around you, or is it quite self-within?
I'd say that I'm definitely a person who's motivated by people around me. I mean, I'm aiming to beat everyone in every session, and I don't know. I just I think, say for example, I train with a world champion, Felix, and I will be aiming for him every session. I'm sure he knows this because I've probably told him, but so I'll be aiming for him every session because he's basically top level. So if you can beat him, then you can basically say you can become world champion.
Yeah, Felix, if you're watching, mate, now you know, mate, he's giving away his game plan, just so you're aware. So what's your, where does this sort of mentality come from when it's about sort of aiming for people in every session? Because a lot of people are, they separate training and competition quite a bit, but what you just mentioned there was competing against people regardless, whether it is training or not. Where does that kind of come from? Was it sort of instilled into you, like you said, by your parents, who have obviously had quite a big influence on you? Is it the fact that you're always sort of training with your brother and it's a bit of competition there from when you were younger as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely from training with my brother my whole life, to be honest. There's not a time where we don't have a competition going on in a training session. I mean, I did a YouTube video on this the other day, but we used to play this game where we will race each other on every turn, and we'll count them up at the end to see who wins. So I don't know what it is. Maybe I've done it for so long that now I just keep doing it, and it's obviously working, so I'm not going to stop. But yeah, I guess I'm very competitive.
That's awesome. Do you reckon it kind of has ever hindered you in any way in terms of sort of being so competitive and wanting to strive all the time? Maybe not linked to burnout, but has it ever sort of got to you in a sense where you're almost banging your head against the wall and thinking why is this not improving or anything like that?
I mean, I've definitely had times where I haven't improved in training, but normally I just say to them, I'll just literally, I'll get out of the session. If I've had a bad session, I'll just tell myself that I'm way better than that. I don't know why I just did that or something like that, and then I'll be fine after that. But I've never had actually burnout. I know a lot of people have. It hasn't happened to me yet. Hopefully, won't ever. But
as well.
I understand from aiming for people so much, and then especially at the moment now, I'm probably one of the best in the squad. I'm have to change my goals, if you know what I mean, because I'm now not just aiming to beat people on my squad. I'm aiming to beat the rest of the world. So it's kind of changing up a bit, and now I've got to be more thinking about what other people are doing who aren't training with me. So it's kind of a bit different now.
How do you reflect on then the bad sessions when they come? Because you mentioned, is it kind of just a case of, for me, from a cricketing point of view, because obviously I play cricket, it's kind of a case of even if it's breaking down a single ball that you bowled or that you've hit, you're just forget about it. You can only control what's in front of you. Is that kind of what you're about as well, controlling the controllables? Obviously swimming is a bit of a different sense where literally every single stroke is sort of down to you. It's obviously very, very isolated in yourself. Yeah. Is it that a case? Is it do you reflect a lot on each session, or is it a case of just in the moment, it happens and on to the next session?
I'd say that I reflect on it at the time. I'm not gonna lie, I probably forget I'm having a bad session after like 4 days. They don't stick with me that often. But I remember my good sessions, so then I'll be like more happy with them. But I think in terms of like getting over a bad session, I'd say I'll give you an example. This morning I didn't have the greatest session. It's a bit of heart rate work. I just wasn't really up for it, if you know what I mean. But I kind of look at it in two ways. If I know that I'm halfway through a set, it's not going well, I could either stop there and let everybody else win, or I could just carry on and pick up the pace and stop feeling sorry for myself, I guess. Because I feel like you may feel bad, but you probably have a lot left, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you can push it. It's just how strong you are to do it.
Yeah. Has that mindset always been there? I've mentioned it a couple of times, like in terms of other aspects, but has that ever taken you sort of some time to build up and develop that, or have you let it affect you previously and been like, I don't want to do this anymore, you're not stopping, or like slowing down, then let everyone pass on you?
Yeah. I don't really I say I've had a pretty strong mindset since I was younger. I think that I probably have become like more mature now, so I kind of like I know what works for me, if you know what I mean. And I just lost train of thought there. What was the question again?
So, no, it's all good. It's all good. It's like, is a case of like, did the mindset of like being able to like just get on with it in a certain way, is that because I like that mentality, but I think it's so tough to develop because it's so easy nowadays just to let something like the smallest thing affect you. Did that take you some time, like you said, as you've grown up and as you matured, like you were saying, like did that take some time, or like was there a point where you're like, you know what, flick of a switch, let's just crack on with it?
I think I've like always had this mindset, and I think it was actually my coach when I was younger kind of like put it into me, because he was actually kind of like really harsh on me when I was training because he knew what I could become, basically. So like, I don't know, for example, I'm not sure if you know swimming terms, but like say I'm doing a set of 3100s and I'm about 20 reps in and I have to hit a certain time, and I missed that time when I was younger by like 0.01 of a second, he'd kick me out because I wasn't focusing enough to not get under. So I guess that I kind of like trained myself when I was younger to think like this, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I love that. So then you're almost thinking about sort of from an external point of view. It's like, I don't want to get kicked out of the pool, so we got to get this time.
Yeah.
Right, that's awesome. So then, again, like how intrinsic is it then when you're looking at sort of times or like so intrinsically, like from a timing perspective, or being like, no, I'm not going to give up, like I'm going to keep trying, or how intrinsic are you thinking in terms of medals and maybe times in a certain way where you're trying to reach a time to try and qualify for the Olympics, like you did, like how sort of what is your motivation? That's probably the best question.
Yeah, I think that I'd say I'm not motivated for medals, but I am motivated to win medals, obviously. I think everybody is, but I'd say actually I enjoy training a lot more than I do racing. I think so. I like more that instead of having a long-term goal, I like setting session goals, if you know what I mean. So I won't, like, for example, in a session, I need to go this certain amount of set time, which will then technically get me to a medal in the end. So my goals are time goals that I have to hit in the sessions, and they do work towards a medal at, say, a world champs, but I'm not necessarily always thinking about I need to get that medal in this session, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, did that come with time? Because I suppose like maybe before Loughborough, when you hadn't quite gone to Olympics yet, or you hadn't gone to Commonwealth Games yet, were you about sort of, was it always like that as well? I've asked a couple of times in terms of how long did that take, or how long did that take, but because I'm so interested in how you've developed as an athlete as you've gone through like younger age groups to where you are now, and developing that, because I think it's such a big topic area where people are like, oh, you've got it, or you're built with it, or you've developed it from your mum or your dad, or like, no, you've actually developed it and you've actually become such a strong individual. Was it always a case of, I want to get to Olympic Games, or I want to get to Commonwealth Games, or I want to get to Loughborough?
Yeah. I can't say how long it takes to develop it because I'm not actually sure. I know that, to be honest, I'm obviously a twin, and we technically are the same, if you know what I mean. But I'd say that his mindset's not as strong as mine, so I don't even say that you can be, like it's not like a thing maybe you are born with it. I don't know, but like that's why we're different. But I'd say when I was younger, I always aimed to break a world record. Maybe that's why I still carry on in the same way because I still haven't hit that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just set targets quite high, so then I'm never satisfied.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So how has there ever been a time where you've been like sort of when you knew that the Olympic Games were in your sight, as an example? How do you stop yourself from thinking about it? Because it probably crosses your mind a little bit, seeing obviously the amount of Olympians that train at Loughborough and things like that. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the pool has like sort of pictures of Olympians, and I think your name's on the wall there as well. So, how do you stop yourself from thinking a bit too far ahead? Like you said, you're very in the moment and you're very in that specific set that you're doing. You know, whether it's cake, you're doing a certain aerobic session or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you stop yourself when that mind comes through? And is it just like, Daniel, like snap out of it, like just keep going?
Yeah. I think I'm actually like always thinking of the next step anyway. Like before I made the Olympics, I already knew I was making it, if you know what I mean. Maybe that's just me like kind of sounding a bit like cocky. I don't know.
Definitely not.
I don't like in my head. I've done certain sets that I know that I could have made it. So then I'm like thinking, all right, I know that I'm making it. Why not then go for the next step and make the semi and then make the final? So I think that's like what I do, to be honest.
Is it hard with a mindset like that, which I absolutely love, by the way, and this is no means to try to be offensive, is it tough to stay humble when you are sort of at the top of your game? Or is it just like you said, focusing on training and kind of ignoring the outside noise and kind of ignoring the competitions and just focusing on the training?
Yeah, I don't. I think it would be easy to go around bragging about how good you are, but I think because I'm in such like a high performance group that realistically you're not going to be the best, really. Well, I could say ever. I mean, I got Adam Peaty in Loughborough, who's probably going to become a 3-time Olympic champion in 100 breaststroke, and I don't think I'll ever get to that stage. So then you can always be like, well, I'm not the best, so I can't act like that. And then also in terms of like, I don't know, like I look up a lot to my training partner Felix because he's like one of the best ever in the sport, and he like, if you go and talk to him, he just like doesn't even seem like he swims, to be honest. He's just so nice. So I think I've learnt a lot from him in terms of like how to carry yourself, you know what I mean? And also I just want to be approachable as well with my YouTube channel to the younger children. I want them to come up to me and ask me questions too. So I feel like that plays on my mind too.
That's definitely where I kind of got the motivation to kind of ask you to come on, because when I kind of saw you, I've seen you a couple of times on campus, and it was always a case of like sort of, I don't know if it's just like sort of the type of bloke that you are, but you almost kind of just, you look at someone like, oh, they're kind of an approachable person, or like then you're just like, I'm not really, I think he's in this like zone, and you can't talk to him. It's just like laser focused. I was like, well, it doesn't seem like that kind of way. But like you mentioned, like sort of the trying to inspire the young kids, is that always a goal, regardless of where you get to? Because I think you get to a certain level where people start to look up to you and people start to see what you're doing. And I'm definitely now an admirer of that mindset that you got. So is it a case of always trying to be approachable, like you said, to inspire yourself as well as the kids? Or is it just kind of like, just, you know what, I am who I am, and, that's who I'm always going to be. I'm not going to change based on I've won a silver or I've been to Olympic Games.
Yeah, I don't think if I get any better in the sport, I will change how I am. I think that I do like, especially when like I'm at a competition and somebody comes up, oh, can you sign this, or do you want a photo, or I watch your YouTube channel, because especially when people tell me they watch my YouTube channel, it actually makes me like really happy, because I'm actually like putting out this content for people to watch, and they actually are. And I think that I don't think I'll ever change. I want to be that approachable person that anybody can come talk to, or like DM on Instagram asking questions, and I'll reply. To be honest, a lot of the time.
That's awesome. Where did the YouTube idea come from, by the way? I'm intrigued because obviously, it being in a similar space, I'm intrigued by sort of where you got the idea from. Was it always like a case of you guys wanted to do that, or was it like, oh right, we're going to Loughborough, we're going to start doing this?
So I think I had a YouTube channel when I was younger, but I probably closed it down because I feel like when you're younger, a lot of people make fun of you for making YouTube videos.
Oh gosh.
So then I during lockdown, I'm not gonna lie, I was so bored because I had no exams or A levels to do.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, let's just start this. People might want to see, and maybe back in the future I can look back at it. Oh, sorry, in the future I can look back at it. Yeah. So then I was just like, oh, let's carry it on, and then I was like, I got like to maybe like 100 subscribers after lockdown, and I was pretty happy with it. And I was like, do you know what? I'll keep this up until I get 1,000 subscribers. So I put out a tweet. I think maybe just under a year ago. I was like, all right, I'm setting this goal like to hit 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. I actually hit 1,000 subscribers in January, so that was pretty cool. And then I think that the YouTube of just me wanting to create this content is just because I don't feel like there's a lot of information out there for younger kids of, oh, how does like a Olympian or a world champs finalist train? I want to know how that he does it, or even just being Irish. I feel like not a lot of people know about swimming, especially in Ireland. I feel like I'm bringing kind of more attention to it. I've seen so many headlines as well about me saying I'm the swim star vlogger or something like that. I love it. It's quite funny, but it doesn't really laugh.
Well, I suppose my point at the start of the pod was perfectly true then, mate. To be fair, everyone's ignoring the swimming, mate. The YouTuber mindset's coming in. When sort of, that's my next question. Does the YouTube and the uni sort of studying wise, does it allow you to kind of switch off from swimming in a sort of, I know obviously that the two are related in terms of swimming and the YouTube, but does it allow you to kind of switch off a little bit and sort of once you're out of the pool, like you're speaking differently, I don't know, you do something with IT, you said, right? I remember. So like, how does that allow you to switch off between swimming, or like, have you ever like found that it hinders one another?
I think I'd say that my university sometimes hinders my swimming, but my YouTube never really does. YouTube's a bit of fun for me. I obviously don't earn any money off it. I just do it out of personal enjoyment. And then university's there just as like an escape plan or whatever if I choose not to do swimming anymore. And swimming's basically just like, so I put swimming. I actually kind of put YouTube above university at the moment. University's like third level.
At least you're honest. I get told off about that all the time as well. Like, yes, like stop prioritizing the ball. I was like, no, like this comes first. And you know what? If I've got some time on the side to do a bit of, that sounds so bad. Don't listen to what we're saying right now. By the way, kids, if you're listening, put school first. But I suppose, like I said, like it kind of allows you to kind of, like you said, inspire the next generation. I suppose I find that incredibly inspiring by that sense. 'Cause I think Adam Pete's doing it really well. I think you're confirmed now, and I put a little post on the screen for one of his race clinics in London I saw, which is awesome. It just kind of allows the younger generation to kind of get a bit more idea as to what it's like as a Olympic swimmer. I think like a good example is like Niall Wilson, who does it with gymnastics, obviously retired now, you know, incredibly inspirational guy as well, with battles with mental health as well, which I've kind of mentioned before. You know, even something like on a like adverse topic like Cricket Island, you know, Cricket Island now has grown tremendously from where it used to be maybe like 10 years ago, where players are being paid, and I've seen it firsthand with a couple of guys that went to my last uni at Cardiff Met. And again, like, does it feel you with satisfaction when you know that you're kind of helping people in that sense, especially maybe with Adam's like race clinics?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I just like, I don't know. I just like kind of like I want to promote myself as well. So doing all that stuff to do with obviously the AP swim thing, that's obviously going to help me as well, which is kind of good. And also, how do I say it? Like, inspire other people, and also then you get these younger swimmers who come and watch your race who don't get the opportunity normally.
Yeah.
Which I also think is pretty cool. And yeah, I don't know. I just I think it's just I just really enjoy making this content for people to watch. Then to if they come up to me and say that they love it, then I'm going to keep making more, and making it better, basically.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said there, like, it's all about enjoyment, because I think, like, as I saw a pact to, like, I've had so many people on who have said it, like, as soon as you lose that enjoyment factor, you kind of, you're probably, not that you should quit, but, like, it's kind of maybe a little sign that, you know, you're not maybe quite built for it. Do you kind of agree with that in a certain sense? Because swimming is it's a very repetitive sport, and I suppose a lot of people have maybe found it, or some people maybe who aren't professional athletes find it boring. But do you kind of agree with that? Do you agree that you kind of need to enjoy it to kind of give you like 110%?
I think definitely you need to enjoy it. I mean, it's not enjoyable all the time. But yeah, I think people sometimes look at it swimming in two different ways. Like, you can look at it as a job that you have to get done, basically, and then you can look at it in a way of, I don't really care how I do, and I just want to swim because it's like I enjoy it. And I think there's a good difference between, I love seeing people who probably aren't the best swimmers in terms of competing internationally, but they're still turning up 10 times a week. And I'm like, I want your motivation, because I'm sitting here on a Tuesday night and I'm like, I'm not motivated at all, and I see the group coming in after me who probably aren't making world champs, but are sitting there coming in and having so much fun. And I'm like, that's kind of motivating as well to watch that.
How do those, like you said, when you're not motivated, how do you kind of move past those struggles that you said? Like, I suppose you can kind of combine these 2 points together in terms of maybe like a day in a life kind of point of view. I love watching. I've watched quite a few of those that you've done already. How does that typical day where maybe you're not motivated look like? Whereas you're getting up early, it's still a little bit dark outside, and you're like, I have to jump in the pool now in about a half an hour's time. Like, how do you kind of move past those days and stay, maybe not stay motivated, but kind of push past the times when you're not? And how do you perform at your best when you're not motivated?
I think in terms of when I'm not motivated, I normally will look to my friends in the session, because normally we're all feeling the same, if you know what I mean. And I think that, especially on those bad days where you don't want to do it, sometimes they're I always say they're probably the best sessions to do, because you probably get more gain out of doing something you don't want to do on those days than you would on the day you do want to do. And then in terms of day in the life, obviously I swim 10 or 11 sessions a week. I'm not expecting myself to be fully motivated for every single one of them. So I think in terms of I'll split the week up as well. So if I can get past Tuesday night for a starter, I'm like, this is going to be a good week.
What are then some other sort of maybe difficult times that nobody sees, away from the YouTube stuff and away from sort of stuff that we mentioned now? What are some of the difficult times that you've kind of experienced maybe throughout your career so far? 'Cause I think this is one which again, similar to in swimming in general, but maybe in terms of professional athletes, they're kind of a bit sort of maybe closed off to trying to open up to the difficult times that happens. And I think it's awesome to do that, because it kind of shows everyone, like you just mentioned, that you're not going to be feeling 110% all the time, but you got to try and perform at 110% all the time. So what are some of those difficult times that kind of no one sees?
Yeah, so I obviously don't put these on my YouTube channel, because I want to kind of spread positive messages all the time. But I think definitely, I'm not sure if you've probably heard about it, but after Olympics, normally people go into post-Olympic depression.
Yeah.
So mine wasn't. I didn't think I went into it, but I didn't take a break after I went to the Olympics, because I was like, well, I'd say I took maybe 2 weeks off swimming, but I didn't take a mental break to sink it all in. So I remember sitting after the Olympics in my room in Loughborough and being like, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't want to go swimming today. I feel because I didn't take that break to sit down and really acknowledge what I've done. I just pushed past it, and then it hits you all at once, and then you're and then I just told my parents, I've got a really good support system. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just feeling this way, and then my dad will just tell me basically, come on, you're okay, you can do it, and I'm good. But you do get those thoughts sometimes, and then especially as well with injury. I know everybody deals with it. I don't really know any athlete who's gone through so many like international competitions and dealt with injury. I think I was out of the water for 6 weeks on that Olympic year, not in together, spread out through. I have really bad shoulder tendonitis where I just basically get to a point where I put myself in so much pain that I just can't continue. And it's probably not a good thing that I do that, but I just I just sit. I'll take week off training just to make sure that my shoulder can heal. And I'd be sitting in my room and I literally don't know what to do because swimming basically is my life at the moment. That's what I'm doing all the time. So yeah, that I don't have to get through it. Normally I just go to someone who I like a lot, like my parents or my brothers or my friends at training or even my coach, and I just explain to them how I'm feeling and they'll just basically try and motivate me.
Yeah. Is that what kind of makes what kind of then makes it worthwhile, like sort of putting up through that pain? Is it, again, I know we've spoken about not trying to think too far ahead to those times, but does reaching the Olympic Games and medaling at the Commonwealth Games, getting to World Finals, does that make that pain worth it? Or is it sort of something else which kind of flicks that switch and be like, no, this is worth it? Is it going to those people like you just mentioned?
Yeah.
Or is it those medals and is it those sort of competitions?
I think especially... so say I've made all those competitions before and I'm probably at a point where if I stop I'm probably happy with the results. Say I'm at the water for a week. Say this week if I was not swimming because due to an injury, I'd be like, what? I just have to tell myself that I'm not done. Basically, I need to push on. If I don't push on, then I know I'm happy with what I've done, but I definitely think I can be better. That's how I'd look at it.
When like you mentioned, when is done for you? What is your sort of maybe not ultimate goal, but when can you kind of step out of the water for the last time as a professional swimmer and be like, yeah, cool, I'm happy. Like, when can I retire?
I'd be happy. I'd be very happy with an Olympic medal. I think though my main opportunity would be in Paris to hit that. Well, just personally. And then I probably wouldn't stop though. I'd probably continue on to the next Olympics, but because I feel like swimming your peak at like 27, and I would be 20. I'm 25. Am I 25? Gee, I'm quite old. I'd be 25 at Paris Olympics. Yeah. And then the next one I'd be 29. So I think that I'd be still in a good age to continue after that. So I do think that maybe just going to 3 Olympics could be a good shout. But even then, I'd probably say I'd go to 4. So it could just continually go on.
I suppose because that was my question that just came on there was based around sort of again mentioning him, Niall Wilson again, kind of spoke in his documentary that I don't want to bring Dan down, but I'm just I'm thinking in my mind about because Niall was like, oh well, my bronze medal just sat there, it's kind of like an object. Do you reckon maybe that was maybe a singular case, and then you can kind of look at it and achieve that bronze medal and go, oh, sorry, not bronze medal only. Hopefully, it's a gold one. When is it for? Do you reckon that was just a singular case? Do you reckon then for you, you're like, right, cool, I can retire. Obviously, not straight after, but I can retire now, being happy.
I actually don't think it is a singular case because I actually know that Adam Peaty probably went through the same thing when he won a second gold in Tokyo. I doubt he was the same person, if you know what I mean, because I actually was talking about this with one of the sports psychologists at Loughborough, and they're saying that what takes you to get motivated for your first Olympics is not going to be the same what it takes to get motivated for your second, so you're constantly changing. So I'm not surprised that when you said Niall looked at his medal and he was like, I just see it as an object. Because you have to really change every 4 years of a different approach to make milliseconds of a difference. So yeah, that's how I'd see it.
Yeah, well, I think an example of that is I don't know if you saw a difference because I look up to Adam Peake quite a bit, and I'm not a swimmer myself, but I can still see that that ability to kind of keep pushing when you are at the top of your game. I kind of saw that difference in him in terms of like interviews and stuff. And then when he finished the Commonwealth Games, he kind of said, "Oh, I'm taking a break. Like, I'm not touching the goggles for 4 weeks, and I'm just like switching off." Do you reckon that was quite brave of him to come out and say that, like you mentioned, in front of people at the top of their game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that obviously he's been on top for so long, and then he obviously got beat at Commonwealth Games, and he's probably thinking that, you know what, I've done so much in this sport that then it all probably sank into him on that moment, and he's probably like, gee, I really need a break from swimming. You know, it's obviously like great to win all these medals and stuff that he's won, but when you get to the point of where you've done so much training, I mean, you're probably like clocking up 25 hours a week in the pool, and you're just sitting there, and then you look back and you're like, I've just been doing this for the last 10 years of my life, and he's probably thought, do you know what, I need to take a break for a bit of time because it is taking a toll on him.
Yeah. So I was gonna, like you mentioned there, like, so Adam got beat, and obviously by James Wilby, which was an unbelievable race, and he kind of sort of spoke about, I remember him saying like how he gives away some of his medals because they're, like you said, they're objects, like you said, for yourself. And again, this is not a mean to be disrespectful, but does the term winning silver or like being an Olympian sound bizarre to you in terms of sort of, because you know that you always want to keep pushing, like I mentioned before, your coach came out and said how driven you are. Are those terms quite bizarre to you? Because rather than just being an Olympian, you want to be an Olympic medalist, or rather than some winning silver, no, I want to win gold.
Yeah, I obviously don't want to discredit people who has the aim of making the Olympics, but personally, becoming Olympian is just a step for me, if you know what I mean. I've always said when I was younger, I want to hit this world record, and I feel like I see these like, I obviously medal at Commonwealth Games, got silver. Would have liked to have been gold, but it was silver. But I'm not looking at it in the sense that was career, like that's gonna That's gonna be the main statement of my career, because I know that I can be better. So I don't know. I don't really go around saying to everyone that I'm an Olympian, I guess, as well, because I know that, I want to be that Olympic medalist. I want to be that on the top podium. And I guess that's one of the reasons.
That's awesome. We've gone well left the field there and then right back into the field. So we're gonna dial it back in. So I've got some questions from the public here, mate, and I suppose you saw the little graphic there. It's an unbelievable graphic for myself. But no, I think it's quite good because, like I said, it gives, similar to your goals, Dan. It gives you an option to kind of express questions and ask questions that I didn't do beforehand, and I kind of was a bit upset that people couldn't ask like their questions to people who were coming on, and I got loads of responses for this one, which was awesome. I kind of tried to, again, like sort of to try and keep it sort of as broad as possible, and keep it sort of, I didn't sort of pick any questions which were sort of swimming-ish related. I kind of got some which might be able to help as many people as possible. So we touched on it a little bit, but into the specifics, why did you choose Loughborough over the NCAAs in America? Sort of, was it just, like you said, the location, or was it anything else in particular?
Well, I'd say location was a big thing, obviously. I mean, I still get recruited to this day from American universities. I'm obviously never going to go because I'm loving Loughborough. So I don't think I guess at the time I wanted to go because more it was appealing, because I've seen so many people go that route and win Olympic medals. But then I think it was more to do with that I like being close to home, if you know what I mean. Obviously, I'm still a plane away from my actual home, but I think that I've kind of made Loughborough into my own home now, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah. A little sort of sidetrack to that. How do you deal with when you miss home a little bit? Because I know I suffer from that a fair bit, to be brutally honest with you, and I struggle to kind of get over it. Sort of, how do you kind of sort of, is it the fact that you're training so much? Does it allow you to kind of not forget that you're away from home, but kind of help you in that sense, kind of dissipate those thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think sadly to the swimming season, I'm only at home twice a year. which is kind of sad because I don't really see my parents that often. But I think like for me to get over if I'm like homesick, I normally just like FaceTime my brothers or sister or even my parents. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big FaceTime person. I'm on FaceTime to my dad nearly every day. Uh, but I think that's how I just get over it. And I think that I've been in Loughborough, it's my third year now, which is went quite fast to be honest. I've made so many like incredible friends here that I kind of don't need to go home. If I'm like feeling like, say, I'll just go. I was like, oh, do you want to go down to the pub and watch the football, or do you want to go to the cinema? So I just looked at my friends instead of looking to get a plane home and then miss 3 days of training.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Some tips out there if you're in similar position to Dan and myself. So, what is your pre-race playlist? Because I've seen a couple where Adam P's just like he's come out and said that it's all about grime and getting hyped up, and then I've seen on the other end of the spectrum like Liverpool player Joe Gomez saying that he listens to like Afrobeat songs, so like quite chilled, so he doesn't like spike his like sort of his like sort of not anger, so it spike his adrenaline too much. So what is yours?
So I don't really listen to music, but I listen to it on the way to the pool. The walk to the pool. I wouldn't listen to it at the pool, but I think at the moment I'm loving it in my playlist that I'll probably play this weekend at Bucks. I'm gonna have a bit of The Weekend. I like a song, Heartless, kind of gets me going, and just some chill songs as well, because you don't always want to be at that level of just 2 hours before you race and you just absolutely like you just on it. I like the song the Color Violet. It's good. Yeah, and to be honest, my playlist is just a whole mix of everything.
Same here, yeah. I love that. Yeah, I was gonna say. I suppose it depends what you kind of race as well. Like, if you're a 50 meter, or you do 50 meter like Adam, or sort of other guys like sort of who are like proper intense, and you're just going like and you're racing for like 15 seconds. You're just like you're wanting to like get hyped up like proper, like Ben Proud as well, mate. But you must be like blasting the like proper rapid music. But no, so that is the Q&A section, mate. So on to the closing notes. Because I've absolutely loved this episode, man. I can chat for days. But sort of, has there been one or a number of individuals who have influenced you both in and out the pool?
Ooh. I want to say my dad, actually. You know, I actually don't think I've ever said this, ever, but I think I actually, looked at him as one of my biggest motivators, because not only, he's obviously not a good swimmer. I mean, I don't think he actually
Dissing
can.
Dissing Father Warren. Gosh, get him in the pool. Get him on a race.
Yeah, I don't think he actually can swim. So I don't know, but I think that the terms of he's just so motivated for the job he does, and I see that every day. And then obviously, him and my mum would take me to swimming at 5 a.m. when I was younger. I mean, that's just kind of I look up to him and I want to be what you are in your job, or that I am at swimming. So I feel like he's motivated me in and out the pool, especially. Well, and obviously I've known him for I'm 21, so 21 years. But so yeah, after that.
That's awesome. And sort of maybe sort of just aside of that, sort of maybe in the pool related, like you said, you're trying to beat everyone in terms of sort of every single session. Is it a case of being sort of maybe not inspired in that sense? It sounds a bit bizarre, but do you look at sort of someone like Felix and be influenced by him because you want to try and beat him as much as possible? Is that maybe someone in particular that you look at? Because I know I'm going to try and get Felix on at some point, but is it a case of maybe trying to sort of look at him and be like, you know what, in a respectful way, I'm trying to beat you?
I wouldn't say I look up to Felix in a way that he's my idol. I look at him as more as my older brother.
All right.
You know what I mean? So he gives me advice, and that's how I look at him. But in terms of somebody who I idolize over, I'd say that Kieran Perkins, Grant Hackett, all the old time distance swimmers, and then obviously somebody who's actually not much older than me, but Mac Horton was he's I don't know how old he is, maybe 4 years older than me. He was a big when I was person when I was younger who I looked to, and I was you are good, and I'm aiming to beat you. I actually got the chance. I touched him out in the Commonwealth heats, but he did get me back in the final. He cut that bronze medal off me in the 43.
Mate, that's awesome. Mate, that's awesome. That's brilliant. So, closing off, mate, one of my favourite parts, if not my favourite part, is what is one piece of advice that you have for anyone who wants to be the next Daniel Wiffen, or anyone who wants to medal at a major competition, or anyone who wants to become an Olympian? And I think you're going to answer this to the best of its ability, knowing how you influence people on a daily basis, mate. Over to you.
I'd say that I think you need to enjoy training as much as you can, because I think that is the secret to success, is enjoyment. And I think if you can enjoy getting up at 5 a.m. or as much as your ability you can, that's definitely the way to getting the success you want. That's what I believe.
That's awesome. Does it kind of make competing a little bit easier when you enjoy the tougher times when you're training, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think since I'm definitely more of a training kind of person, I mean, I could never race again and still train. I love it. I think it's that I like hurting so much in training that it kind of like makes in a race more enjoyable, because in a race you're going to hurt more than you probably would in training. That if you can just enjoy that pain, then it kind of sounds a bit sick. But
Daniel's not a psychopath, by the way, ladies and gents. He's not a proper psychopath. It's just like a trait that I think all athletes have, isn't it?
Yeah, I think just enjoying that, then you basically can do anything, I think.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. What a way to finish off, ladies and gents. Everyone, Daniel's admitting he's a psychopath. Gosh, he's not, ladies and gents. He's not. Okay, he's a very approachable guy. But no, Dan, I want to thank you so much for coming on, mate, because I know you've got the afternoon off, but, I really, really appreciate your time, mate, and especially being so close in Loughborough together, mate. You've inspired me a lot, and mate, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where you're going to get to. But thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, no worries. Likewise, mate, likewise. And everyone, please show him some love in the description. Please subscribe to Wiffen Twins. I'll kind of at it in the mention, so you can just click over there and show him some love as well, mate. And hopefully once he's got that gold medal around his neck in the Olympic Games in Paris, we will have him on again and see how we've not how he's changed, but how he develops that. So, mate, thanks so much again.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, what an unbelievable episode that was to film. I think every single time I have an Olympian on, managed to have 2 Olympians on now, from Joe Breyer and now Daniel. It inspires me to just keep pushing. Even in something like a podcast world, where it's obviously the worlds are very, very different, but hearing some of the stuff that Daniel said today is so inspirational. And honestly, I cannot thank him enough for your time. So Dan, if you're watching, mate, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, I know he didn't have to do it, but he did, and he gave it sort of like he always does, 110%, and he expressed everything and was really open and honest. So please do know that and show him some love in his socials and support when he competes at Bucks this weekend, up Loughborough. Go on. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he succeeds as much as I think he's going to, and we will hopefully, fingers crossed, have him on soon in a few years' time once he's won gold in the Olympic Games. And also a massive thank you to you guys for all the support. When I put the question poll out on the story, there were some unbelievable questions. Obviously, I didn't manage to answer all of them. I don't want to take up too much of Dan's time, but we definitely managed to get that in. So thank you so much, guys, and we will see you again next week for another episode of the Fitzness Podcast. Take care.